Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why LaVar and LiAngelo Ball just got caught in some big lies about what went down in China.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why AFC North football isn't dirty. It's football. Speak for yourself. Starts now on a Wednesday.
Great football. We got some great news. Peace coming to the NFL. Hello and welcome. We're joined today by NFL legend Ray Lewis and Super Bowl champion Eric Davis. Let's start in the NFL, where there's some really big news today. Reportedly, Roger Goodell has signed a 5-year contract extension to remain as the NFL commissioner. Cowherd, let's just cut right to the chase. I think regardless of where you were at on the Jerry Jones, Roger Goodell dispute, the fact that we have some resolution here and we can move forward for people that support the NFL, Roger Goodell's contract extension, I think, gives the NFL and all of us that love football a chance to move forward and start talking about solutions rather than acrimony.
Listen, outside of Google, Apple, Facebook, what other business in America is thriving like this? I mean, listen, man, they're the #1 TV show on 5 networks. If you take out the hurricane weekend, just the hurricane weekend, what obviously states like Florida were not watching. NFL's down like 3.5% this year. Come on now. The Monday Night Football was up 30%. We've got the Aaron Rodgers could come back. Look at who's going to be in the playoffs. Big Ben, Brady, Rodgers, Cowboys still in it, Wentz, Seattle. Like there's this narrative that's anti-football, and if you cut the ratings in half, it still doubles the NBA. It's fine. It's good. And I think this resolution closes some of the chaos we felt optically for the last month. All right, let's go. Kind of crazy. The Kaepernick story now has kind of dissolved to he's moving into politics.
I go back to The Godfather, one of my favorite movies. And I think it was Clemenza that said, every few years you got to have a fight. It clears out the bad blood, and then you can go back to work. And so if you read the details of this contract, it sounds like it's an incentive-based contract that gives the ownership a little bit more leverage over the commissioner and the commissioner's offense. Again, I was someone who's been a little bit critical of Roger Goodell. I'm glad we have resolution. I'm glad that we have the leadership figured out for the next 5 years. Let's move forward.
Yeah, a lot of things seem to be going in the direction the league wants them to go in. By that, I mean the owners. With all the fighting that was going on, you still have the majority of the owners to say, we like the job that you are doing. We like the fact that you will fight the big boys. We like the fact that you will stand up for everyone, and you don't have a problem fining or suspending the Patriots or stars of the league or dealing with ownership. You like that. From a player standpoint, moving forward, some of the things that have happened, you mentioned Colin Kaepernick, but, taking the time to go into a courtroom with, I believe it was Malcolm Jenkins, and see what's going on and listen to these players, all the things that were happening, I think from a player standpoint, you feel like you have a different kind of voice in the commissioner's office right now, that he's actually listening to him and taking the time to spend with the guys. So I think moving forward, you might have a lot more peace. You may have an opportunity for guys to work together better because of Roger still being in place.
Well, I just think at this point, I think we all have to ask ourselves a question. When you look at the National Football League from the outside, who would have been next? What change do you make if you go away from Roger Goodell? You think about from a player's perspective and all of the issues that's been going on. At the end of the day, when you finally sit down with most of these players, they all kind of want the same thing, right? But when you have the majority of owners who's saying, like, we're in, right? We're 100% in. Then you have to ask yourself, is this guy the right guy for the job? And right now, for the next 5 years, he's the right guy for the job. But what I think it does for football is now we can really get back to football, right? So something I'm paying attention to that I pay attention to more than anybody is I'm looking at the playoff race like, okay, how does this play out?
Yeah.
Like, who do the Saints match up with? Is it the Eagles, right? Because everybody else, you want to distract what the real message is. The real message is somebody will be crowned at the end of this year.
Yeah, also, think about this. We've had a lot of noise in football. College football had a lot of arguments for the last month. Distraction. Kaepernick, a player that got a lot of media attention. Starting this weekend, have you seen the games? 13 of the 16 games have playoff implications.
Real.
The NFL now, the distractions are dissolving. You guys know,
Yeah.
Post-football, it becomes really about football.
Yeah.
It really does. It's about attrition, staying healthy. I look at this weekend. This morning I looked at the games, and I'm like, Monday Night Football was up 30%. Thursday Night Football was up. The nation's now getting, okay, now the playoffs start with all the big teams. I think we're going to have a really good last 3 months.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think this brings some stability to everything, too, because if you think about everything that happens from the anthem, everything that right now just from the hits and the CTE, and then this last weekend with the injury and the way the game and the penalties and everyone attacking the brutality of the game, think about what could have happened if you did have a change at the commissioner's spot?
Wow.
Like, is football really in trouble? Are they really in disarray? Right now, it's like, okay, let's think business as usual. Yep. We like what we're doing and the direction we're going in. I think it makes a good statement.
What made me think this resolution was coming is because for the past 2 weeks, we finally had things quieted down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Instead of stories leaking in the media every other day,
that's true.
Things quieted down, and it sounds to me like, if again, you look at the details of this contract and the way this is coming out, these guys said, okay, guys, let's quit fighting in the media. Let's get in a room and work out our differences, come to a resolution. Roger's our guy. Everybody's not going to be perfectly happy with this, but everybody can't be perfectly happy. I think they settled their internal strife and sided on extending Roger. Again, I think this has an opportunity to be a great chance because finally the commissioner, as players, y'all face pressure every game.
Every day.
Your contracts aren't guaranteed. You're questioned by your coaches. And it makes you, the ownership and coaches say, that's what makes you a great player. Yeah. Roger Goodell just experienced what you guys go through. I think it may make him a better commissioner.
Michael Jordan left the NBA, lost 50% of its ratings. Today, it's never been more popular. Sports are all cyclical. They're all cyclical. I went back and looked and found a 25-year-old Sports Illustrated cover today. The NFL's boring. How to save the league. That was the cover. It's cyclical just because they had a political issue to deal with. There are some empty seats because the game is so good on television. A lot of people don't want to sit in a cold stadium. That's just a challenge. To me, I've always believed that you need to make smaller stadiums because the NFL is really so terrific as a TV product. These are challenges. It's cyclical. Football's not going away. It's part of our, listen, the government wouldn't let insurance companies fail. This is not, football changes too many lives to leave.
From every level, right? You think about, we're talking about the professional level. But this past weekend, we watched all of the SEC championship and ACC championship and all these things. And then you go to the high school level. And then you go to Pop Warner level.
It dominates communities.
Listen, this game saves and changes lives. Simple. And it gives people an avenue that most of the time will never be had.
Yeah.
So we can talk about down or not. There's many dreams. Me and Edie know that dream.
And that's why I say it's not going anywhere.
It ain't going nowhere.
Ask yourself, is Odessa, Texas never going to have high school football?
Oh, please.
Is Ann Arbor never going to have college? And is Green Bay never going to have NFL football?
Very quickly, and this is a little bit of a curveball, but for me, if I were talking to Roger Goodell and saying, you know what I want you to focus on, Roger? It's the officiating. For me,
really?
I want him to clean up the officiating.
I'm with you,
I wish that was
It's
priority one.
It's got to be clear cut because they're driving.
Too many flags.
It's too many, man.
The pass interference deal is way too unpredictable.
I have seen 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weekends taken away. The Steelers on Monday night, Martavius Bryant. We're seeing way too many penalties away from the play.
I think Belichick had it right. You should be able to challenge the calls. These pros should be able to challenge the calls. And I also think judgment calls, like a pass interference, you should be able to challenge that as well.
100%. That means
I think
something.
they should.
That Steeler kickoff touchdown, that was a touchdown.
Officiating, Roger. If you're watching, get on the officiating. All right, welcome back to the show. Ray Lewis and Eric Davis are back. Let's move to the AFC North, where we saw another physical battle between the Steelers and the Bengals Monday night that left the announcers up in arms over a series of big hits. After the game, Big Ben said it was just AFC North football, but he went a little more in depth the next day on his radio show.
It's crazy, the sport we play, And people get all over me for saying that you got to contemplate every year on if you want to keep going. Plays like this make you really evaluate things. And I think that's why I say it's a smart thing to do. But it's a violent game, and this game between them always seems to be that way. And sometimes you feel like this game, this quote unquote rivalry, has turned sometimes dirty, and it's unfortunate.
All right, Cowherd, is AFC North football dirty?
No, I think people are confusing physical with dirty. What Gronk did this weekend, that was dirty.
Agreed.
Okay, Gronk was dirty. I told you, I'd have suspended him multiple games. Is SEC football dirty? No, but when I watch Bama Auburn and Alabama LSU, that's intense. Don't confuse intense and physical with dirty. Bill Laimbeer was dirty. Karl Malone was physical. Okay, there's a big difference to me.
A huge difference. I want to go really big picture, and I'm glad Ray's here. AFC North football is the Ray Lewis, Dick Butkus division. It's the most physical division in all of football because of what Ray and the Ravens established in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Ray and them came in with that defense, and you had to react to it. Marvin Lewis was the defensive coordinator, and you know how Cincy reacted to it? Let me get Marvin Lewis. Teach us how to play the way the Baltimore Ravens play. Then Mike Tomlin comes and joins the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dick LeBeau. And he's like, well, the only way to survive in this division is to meet the physicality of Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly.
It's the most physical division in football. Sometimes the Steelers and the Bengals get dirty. They did in a playoff game a year or two ago, and it was a disgrace. Monday Night Football, there was one dirty hit, in my opinion, Iloka in the end zone out of desperation.
To me, that wasn't dirty. That was illegal, not dirty.
I think the Juju hit illegal, not remotely dirty. If I'm a coach, I'm patting him on the back, and he never buys a drink in Pittsburgh ever again. But it's the Ray Lewis division.
Yes.
It's not a dirty.
What you're basically saying is there is a culture. Listen, in the SEC, Steve Spurrier was an exception. But mostly, can you run the football, and are you good in the trenches? That's Southern college football. When Chip Kelly came out to the Pac-12, everybody started saying, make your linebackers smaller.
Right.
It's a track meet. That was the culture that was created. I agree with you. I think he helped create a division. It's cold weather. It's sleet. It's rain. It's physical.
Me and ED was just talking about this. Do we understand physics in football? Eddie George is 245 pounds. I'm 250 pounds. Eddie George running a 4.4 at me, and I'm running 4.4 at him.
Yeah,
that's not ending well.
No.
That's just not ending well. But when you talk about, I'm listening to the game, and I'm hearing words like disgusting and this and that. Gruden, stop that. You coach John Lynch. You coach one of the hardest hitters in football, tone setters. And that play that this safety made in the end zone, that's a tone. Me and ED was talking about it.
Yeah, the physics of it, it's just too hard to change direction.
You can't change direction. Once we take off as a defender and AB grabs the ball, sees the defender, and ducks, he ducks into my target zone.
And remember that Ioka is not looking at AB to hit him. He's looking for the ball, right?
Yes.
He's trying to make a play on the ball. So in the last second, he has to change direction, redirect, and try to dislodge the ball. And do you think he's aiming for his head or the ball to get the ball out? Now, as he compacts himself, now the target is lower. He gets hit in the head. And that's why I'm saying judgment. Think about what a player's trying to do. I don't think it's a dirty play. Is it a legal play? Yes, they've said it's an illegal play.
Right.
The crackback block, they're trying to take that out. I get that. I understand you want to throw a flag on it. Is this dirty? No. Football, defensive football, when it's played properly, it's going to hurt. People are going to get hard hits. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Do I think that's dirty? No. Do I think the league suspended people because of dirty play? No. They assessed a stupid tax. That's what they did. They were like, guys, we can't keep having all these penalties and personal fouls and everything. We understand you guys are physical, but we don't want, and it's because of what the announcers were doing. We don't want to hear all of that.
By the way, this was a standalone game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan Shazier, terrifying early injury.
Terrifying.
The tone from the announcers was, okay, we could have a paralyzation situation here. I think that set the tone for the broadcast
For everything
crew.
else to be sensitive.
To be, let's slow down. The game is, we're all terrified here. And I think it changed the game.
But we're all here boxing fans.
Right, yeah.
Right.
How many times have you saw Sugar Ray and Hearns fight?
Love to watch it.
Yeah.
Why do you love to watch it?
Because it's
The brutality.
Because the brutality of it. They're going to give you everything they got.
I'm not going to let Gruden and McDonough off the hook because, again, I'm going to say this, and I get Shazier put everything in a bad spot. As a viewer, I was sitting there. But when they're paying you the money that they're paying you to broadcast these games, you're there to handle the tough situation. They don't pay you because, when the game's easy to call. They pay you all that $6.5, $7 million is because when the stuff hits the fan, you can handle that. They handled it poorly. To me, tried to demonize the Bengals and the Steelers, and it just was wrong. There was, to me, one dirty hit. There wasn't extracurricular fights after tackles and plays like that. There weren't coaches on the field. That game,
even the Juju play, if Juju doesn't stand over him.
If you don't stand over him,
there's nothing.
you play football.
Should be noted that Juju, after the game, was doing an interview.
I know what you're
I know where you're going.
Antonio Brown
In the background.
was yelling in the background, "Karma!"
Yeah.
They loved that hit.
And let me tell you why. Let's just put it all out there.
Yeah.
If me and Eric Davis is walking into our locker room after delivering one of those hits, I may be getting a nice little gift this week.
He celebrated.
I'm celebrated for that.
Look, and I'm just going to keep it all the way 100. There are pictures of Burfict stretched out on that stretcher getting passed around among Pittsburgh Steelers players. Burfict has a history. He had the dirty hit on Antonio Brown that cost them a playoff game. And so, we're trying to present this very sanitized game that everybody who has a casual interest in football will love. Preach the game to me. I love football. Don't worry about the casual fan.
Ratings up 30% for the game. America loved it. All right, well, it won't get any easier for the Steelers this week. They play host to another division rival, maybe even a greater rival, the Ravens. Baltimore still battling for a playoff spot and playing well. No shortage of history between these two teams, though Big Ben explains it goes beyond just a rivalry, saying, quote, "Listen, the difference between this game and the Cincinnati game is us in Baltimore, there's always a respect involved in it. You're going to get hit really hard, or you're going to hit somebody really hard, but you're going to help them up and say, hey, man, nice job." Whitlock, you expect the physical play from last week to carry over to this game, Ravens?
Yeah, it's going to carry over, but the reason why there's that respect there is because when Ray Lewis and Ben Roethlisberger shook hands, they both had championship rings on their on their fingers. They both have won Super Bowls. They don't respect the Cincinnati Bengals. They haven't won a Super Bowl.
And Pittsburgh has dominated that series.
Yeah.
Even in Cincinnati, Cincinnati can't win at home in that series.
I'm gonna let you take over this one since you lived it, but I always say rivalries only happen when I beat you or you beat me when it matters. And Pittsburgh and Baltimore, I said, it was the best rivalry in football because those guys were playing for a playoff spot. They were playing for a home field advantage. A lot of times they were playing for the championship. Whoever won that series, those 3 games they were normally playing, had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So that right there is something that Cincinnati hasn't brought to the table. So it's just a different level between those two teams.
96, 97, 98, my first 3 years, I saw a culture in Baltimore that did not exist. I was playing in Pittsburgh and watched the culture of Steeler Nation. I went to Ozzie Newsome and said, I need that in Baltimore. How do I get that? You know what he told me? Go take it. 1999, we go in Pittsburgh. 2000, lead the first game of our Super Bowl. We lose Jamal Lewis. Priest Holmes stepping down. Pittsburgh get the ball on the 1-yard line and get 8 tries at it. They didn't make it. The culture changed. And that's when they knew that we was dead serious about taking what we wanted from them.
And Cincinnati's never created that.
And
that's
never
what I always say.
created
They haven't created that
Or
yet.
with us.
And that's exactly what you have to do. You have to take that. No one gives you that.
And so when you talk about tonight, when you talk about this game that's coming up this week, let me tell you what you're going to get. They know what you're going to get. Baltimore, the way that defense is playing football right now, you talking about sitting down for this one? Because I want to see this offense deal with this defense. I want to see Pittsburgh's offense deal with the Ravens' defense. Because what I created years ago, was we went into Pittsburgh, and I never forget it. Franco Harris and all these guys sitting in the sideline. And I picked up some dirt, and I put it in my pads. And I said, damn it, this is going back to Baltimore. I need this here in Baltimore.
And and one last thing, and part of the reason, as physical as those series are, and the reason I don't think they are chippy, is because there is not this little brother complex in either team.
Yeah.
They both know who they are.
Grown men.
They both, and that's just it.
Grown men.
They're grown men out there.
We got to be very quick.
Yeah, please.
It bothers me. I want to know how it strikes you. They trying to compare Vontaze Burfict to you. That he's Cincinnati's version.
No, he didn't. I'm not. I won't let that get away. He just said some comparisons about being the leader, whatever. I like what the kid does on the field. I really do. I wish we talked. He was supposed to follow up. I wish we talked because he could be really, really good.
Welcome back. Ray Lewis here, now joined by the founder of the big lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's stay here in Los Angeles, where a wildfire forced the Rams to cancel practice today, leaving them a short week to prepare for their huge matchup with the Eagles. Be the first ever matchup between the guys taken 1 and 2 overall. While Carson Wentz has gotten more publicity for his breakout season, Jared Goff's having nearly as good a year, and a win would put the Rams ahead of the Eagles in the playoff standings. Whitlock, who's the bigger threat in the NFC, Rams or Eagles?
My mind is blown here because I've reached the conclusion I think the Rams are. Many Sundays, I think the Rams are the best team in football. It was a couple of weeks ago, the Rams lost to the Minnesota Vikings. Is that accurate? Yeah, lost to the Minnesota. And I thought they played phenomenally well. Yeah. It was one of those good losses. If some breaks had gone their way, I fully expect, unless this lack of preparation this week because of the wildfire, I fully expect the Rams to come win this game and beat and control this game from start to finish. I think Jared Goff is terrific. I think this young coach is terrific. I think the people around Goff, Gurley, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, on the deep, Aaron Donald, I love the Rams.
They say in the playoffs it's about players, not plays. And also what's big in the playoffs? Coaching. Big edge, Rams over the Eagles in coaching. Big edge. Listen, are we sure Doug Peterson's the right guy, or is Wentz great? Are we sure? If every coach in the league was available after Belichick, would Sean McVay be the second coach you'd pick to run your franchise? You saw Jared Goff last year. You see him this year. Okay, that's Sean McVay. I'm telling you, this is what's amazing to me when I watch the Rams. They're dropping 34 a weekend. I'm watching them like you, and I'm thinking, God, they left 2 touchdowns on the table. They are crushing people.
They have one of the most dynamic playmakers from the collegiate level and now the national football level. You say Todd Gurley, I say Todd Gurley. Yes, sir. I'm talking straight football player.
Yeah.
This is a football player. And what this young coaches did is the same thing we saw at the Rams when you took Marshall Faulk and made him that dual threat, running and passing.
Yeah.
Because that guy, now, all the other pieces around him, the Sammy Watkins, the T. Austins, the Aaron Donalds, so everything else adds on. But I'm telling you, the heartbeat of this young team is Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
And when you watch him play, he's doing things that Marshall Faulk did that wowed people.
Right.
He's running away from DBs.
Right.
You don't even want to step in his way. He's telling linebackers, look, deal with me.
Right.
If I'm getting ready to play against Todd Gurley, I'm laying down for 3-4 days.
And by the way, we all love Zeke. We all love Zeke. A lot of noise around Zeke. Gurley
no different back.
just plays football.
Guys, I don't want to be Mr. Eagles here, but I think we're missing something. In the postseason, I agree, coaches and players. What about the trenches? Who's better in the trenches? And the answer is the Eagles. #1 run defense in the league, Ray. 68 yards a game. Gurley going to get loose against them Sunday? I don't know. Guess who's #2 offensively running the football? Eagles, Jay Ajayi. They got the rookie, the young kid from Wisconsin. They got a really good running game. I like them in the trenches. I don't know if they win this week. Zach Ertz is out. But in the postseason, the trenches is what wins. And Vegas agrees with me, Mr. Vegas.
McIntyre.
Philly, number
McIntyre.
one
Hold
odds, fifth for
McIntyre,
your Rams,
you
right?
came at me a little aggressive there. You all right?
A little aggressive. A little aggressive.
Okay,
I
I'm
know
just
you're
checking.
fired
I
up.
want to make sure.
You want to take down Gurley.
This isn't a sexy topic. The Rams also have the best special teams I've seen in the league.
That's a big advantage.
In
Yep.
years. Kicker, punter, return guy. Their special teams are incredible. Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard, co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy. Let's move to LaVar Ball. A few days ago, the basketball world's biggest stage dad pulled his middle son, LiAngelo, out of UCLA, taking issue with LiAngelo's indefinite suspension after the freshman caused an international incident by shoplifting on a team trip to China. LiAngelo was helped out of that situation by President Trump, though LaVar claimed the president didn't do enough to deserve a thank you. Yesterday, LiAngelo appeared with LaVar on the Today Show and tried to explain what actually happened that landed him in the hot water with the Chinese authorities.
We all went out one night, went through the malls, went to a Louis Vuitton store, and people started taking stuff, and then, me just not thinking and being with them, I took something too. And we left thinking we'll just get away. You know how kids think. I didn't realize till I got back to my hotel, I'm like, that was stupid, but by then it was too late, and then sure enough, the next morning the police came and got us.
All right, Whitlock, you reported on The Herd earlier, LaVar and LiAngelo are not being truthful about the events that transpired in China.
No, because he's acting like he followed in behind his other two teammates, Cody Riley and Jalen Hill, and that's just not accurate. He was trying to buy the sunglasses at the Louis Vuitton store. His credit card was declined. When you go over in foreign countries, sometimes when you leave the state of California, your credit card will get declined. His credit card was declined. That triggered the shoplifting. And the notion that the other two guys were kind of the ringleaders and he just followed in behind them is also contradicted because there was only one kid that stole from all three stores, and it was LiAngelo Ball. I have this on great authority from well-placed sources that know what transpired here. Again, I've lived out in Westwood since 2010. And then as it relates to President Trump, I think there's a slight bit of truth on LaVar's side. President Trump is not the reason they got out of jail. The U.S. consulate, UCLA, negotiated with the Chinese authorities, got them to agree to 20 days in the Chinese hotel. Where Trump was effective, though, is because what UCLA was concerned about, they're in the middle of their quarter system. If these kids are trapped in China for 20 days, they're going to flunk out of UCLA. UCLA takes its academics very seriously. And so Trump was able to get them home after 8 days. They get to continue their academic careers at UCLA. But I think what LaVar was probably saying is like, no, he's not the reason we got out of jail. And Trump tweeted, actually, that he was the reason they got out of jail. But that had already been settled. But anyway, LiAngelo was not following behind two kids that started something. He triggered it when his credit card was declined.
It continues to me, to be, there's that, what's that gadget, the fidget spinner thing, and it lasts for about a year and then you stop buying it. It's the hot thing. This family for about a year was talked about and there seemed to be a lot of substance. Lonzo's not the best rookie on the Lakers. This now, he pulls his son out, appears to be, there's a mistruth with what they're saying. I think networks who are desperate to get noticed are putting him on the air, but it does feel like I'm getting more loud than substance. Initially, I saw a dad that got 3 kids a scholarship at UCLA with Lonzo being a star. Lonzo's not a star. I catch the dad not being honest. Now the kids are out of UCLA. It just feels, it's got a Joe the Plumber feel to it. Remember the guy that got hoisted into the national prominence, an hour later you're like, he probably shouldn't be in national prominence. This whole family feels like it's reeling, and it's no more substance for me, it's just loud.
What I really don't like about that soundbite are 2 things. One, he said, I just was going in after them, and they did it first. And also when he said, well, you know how kids think. That is just clearly, because kids don't all think like that. There are a lot of kids who would just not steal, or even if their friends did, what he was saying was true, they would choose to not do that. There's no accountability at all right there. And there's never accountability with that family. And I think that that sets up a really bad kind of life. And when they look forward and they've just been excused for everything they do, or it's okay, you know, you robbed places in China, but we're going to take you back and we'll just take you out of school if things don't go the way that you want. They never learn to be responsible for their actions, accountable. And we've seen that with LaVar and all of them.
Yeah, it's gotten ridiculous. And what's going to happen, obviously he wants all three of them in the NBA. LiAngelo probably not going there. LaMelo, we'll see. What he's doing, though, and this includes Lonzo, if his sons are good enough to be in the NBA, but not stars, not, you know, difference makers, you could call it the Kaepernick effect, the Tim Tebow effect. Teams will be like...
The noise around?
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. You're just going to be an average player.
Right.
You're eighth man, whatever. No, it's not worth it. And LiAngelo, at best, would be a bench player in the NBA.
At best.
So he's done just because of the loudness of his dad. If Lonzo doesn't straighten it up...
This is interesting.
...and become a really good player, the Lakers will be like, is it worth all this? And obviously it's not if he's not producing, and they could move on. Another team may not want it. I mean, this could become a big problem if these kids, mainly Lonzo and LaMelo, can't really play at a high level.
I think that's a really interesting point.
Great point.
It really is. Now, over time, let's use like the Kardashians as an example. Kim was the most prominent. Now, there's other members of the family that have their fashion careers, but in the end, Kim has remained newsworthy and prominent. This family is led by Lonzo. I mean, LaVar's... No, I don't think LaVar. LaVar's not captivating. Lonzo's a Laker. If he is an average player, where's the content?
Well, LaVar controls that because the reason that Lonzo is struggling is his father, without a doubt, because he has all this added pressure on him. He's got LaVar making comments about the coaching, which probably doesn't help him in the locker room. He's got a target on his back for all the players. He's supposed to be as good as Steph Curry, and that makes him not as good of a player. So if LaVar doesn't ever realize and be accountable for himself that he's got to tone it down and let his son be the man who he wants to be, he's never going to be a better player.
Here was one of my major takeaways last night, having this conversation and then talking about it today, is the backing the bus over, well, it was those other two guys. Mm-hmm. And LaVar has been riding a wave of he's the black celebrity dad. And there's a protection that goes, if you're critical of LaVar, oh my God, you're selling out and you've done something anti-black. Cody Riley, just Jalen Hill, these are black kids that LaVar just said on TV, and LaVar knows the facts. And his son just indicated, well, you know, these guys started and I kind of followed in behind. Look, as a parent, my father would never allow that. I don't know what culture.
Well, your father, I'm sure, and my dad too, wouldn't have been sitting next to me smiling a little bit while I'm sitting on, whether I'm lying or not, I'm on television because I stole something in a foreign country. My dad would not be sitting there smiling. And to the African-American point, look, and I've liked the fact that you got 3 young black boys, you got them scholarships to a great school, UCLA, that's great.
And took them out.
But the bar is right. He took them out, took his son out of high school. The bar for black dads and any dads, because Scott Brooks mentioned something, his dad wasn't there, it's not that low that just being there and raising your children and providing him, you shouldn't get applauded for that. That's something you should be doing naturally.
Right.
And so that, and then he just can't get credit just for being there.
By the way, D'Angelo Russell, he was the future of the Lakers. They gave up on him. With other than he had a little incident with a phone or something.
No, it was actually a major incident. It's right in line with this. D'Angelo Russell sold out a teammate, snitched on Nick Young
and
or
was
whatever.
a lot better than Lonzo
and wasn't popular in the locker room because of it. Again, this young man just went on TV. It was those two guys. I was just following in behind
You know
him.
how kids think.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris Mannix told me today on my show, a longtime NBA guy, Chris said, the feeling inside the Lakers, it's not affecting Lonzo, it's affecting the team. They feel a burden. That's why they got rid of D'Angelo Russell. They thought D'Angelo could play. Everybody knows D'Angelo can score. They thought it was affecting teammates. If there's a feeling Magic and Rob Pelinka think, hey, it ain't just Lonzo. Brandon Ingram's caught in this web. Yeah. Kuzma's caught in this web. They'll get rid of him.
People that have seen Lonzo play from high school and in college, there's a different energy around him with
Then
the Lakers.
now, yeah.
With the Lakers. I'm not talking about what the Lakers have said. I'm talking about people, high school and college, that are aware of his spirit and the way he plays. They think this LaVar thing, this whole circus, is changing his personality and the way he plays the game.